Hi, this is Tom from World Class Coaching with another in our series of animated drills. This is an activity that I've used to train players on how to open up to receive the ball after passing it back. It's especially helpful in working on building from the back, just to give the players the ideas and give you the opportunity to get all the coaching points out about how to open up for a player with the ball. So it's a simple pattern. I like to have no more than 4 in the line. If you do that, then it moves very quickly. Everybody stays really engaged and is always active. So we have one player that starts in the middle with the ball. The ball is then passed to the next player in line. This player can make a run to either side cone. They can choose. Let's say in this case, the player runs wide here. Now what we want to emphasize as the player does that is that they always face the ball. So we want them always having their body facing the ball. And when they get to this point, the way I describe it to my players is that they need to flip their hips. So they need to turn and face so that they can still see the player with the ball. And we'll put this player here, and we'll obviously flip them around. Not multiply them, but we'll flip them around in the other direction so that they always are facing the ball. So when they're facing the ball now, they've opened up and the ball is passed back to them. They receive it with their farthest foot, and then they turn up the field. As they turn up the field then with the ball at their feet, they'd obviously be turned the other way. So just for sake of clarity, we'll change that player and we'll put this player in, just in terms of how they're positioned with their body. So they have the ball here. Now we have this player make a run into the center, and the ball is played across to them at their feet, and they carry on into the middle. So then they would dribble the ball into the center as we started the pattern. Now this player would return to the line they came from. And that's a key in the kind of the rotation of this activity, is that they always return to the line they came from. So now the player gets the ball in the middle. They make the pass to the player at the far end. They make the run to the cone, always facing the ball. And then only at the last minute do they then flip their hips to open up and face so that they can receive the ball then on their back foot. So they receive the ball with that farthest foot. This player continues and makes a run inside. One of the things I emphasize with the players is I actually want them to make sure they stay behind the ball so that when the ball is played across, they can receive it. So it's not something that goes into the opening up part of the session, but just in terms of making sure that we give a ball and we time our run. I don't want the player way out here and then receiving a ball and then they end up being too close to the next line, and it just wrecks the kind of the fluid nature of the activity. So timing their run so they get there and the ball is passed across. They receive it with that farthest foot. This player then returns to the line that they came from, joins the back of that line, and the pattern continues now with the ball being in the middle, with this player who makes the run then and then makes the pass. So, we can just coach everything here about, playing the ball and then opening up. And they can make that run to either side. I encourage the players to go to both sides so that they can practice, keeping that body shape open, making sure that they're always looking at the ball as they're running this way, and only at that last moment flipping their hips to open up wide enough. That's another thing that you want to make sure the players are doing, is when they do open up here, is that they're opening up far enough away from the cone to give the player with the ball, who would then be in front of the cone because we don't want to stand behind the cone when we receive a ball, then they're going to have a good pathway to knock that ball into. We don't want this player to be so close that basically they're too close to the defender. We always explain to the players that cones in activities are usually defenders. And so we knock this ball across and we go again. So that pattern continues. Now, one progression that I really like is when this player makes their run wide, flips their hips and opens up, the next player in line behind the player with the ball also makes a run to the side. So that keeps that player engaged and thinking. And now this player has a choice with the ball. They can play it this way. They can play it that way. Regardless of where they choose, everybody goes back to the line they came from. So let's say they choose to play it out this way. They make the run here. The player on the ball moves that ball up to here, makes the pass across. They keep going and so on. This player would return to the front of the line. This player would return to the back of their line. And so now, because if we have this player go to the back of the line, they could just get caught in kind of a infinite cycle of never getting the ball. So they return there. And then the same thing occurs here in the other direction, where the player makes the run, makes the pass, runs to open up. When they choose which way, the next player in line goes the opposite way, making sure they keep a good pathway as well to receive the ball, and it continues. And it really just gets everybody thinking all the time and make sure that they understand that they need to react to the player's run who lays the ball off. So it's just a progression to the activity that I've found kind of takes it to that next level. Once the players understand the basic pattern, they can kind of just go through the motions. But once you add this extra step, it really keeps them engaged and gets them moving quickly, because they have to be aware of the movements of other players. I think it's always nice in an activity if you can have the movements of one player depend on the movements of another, because that's part of the game. Players need to understand that, need to be able to do that. So I hope you like this activity. Give it a try with your teams and see how it goes.